technology. Jazakumullah khair, thank you very much for staying here this late. So we have two choices that we can do here. I know this is supposed to be a youth conference. Now, we're getting closer and closer to November. And in November, there is a genocider who believes that you will forgive him because Khalti Halima will not be allowed to come through the border because of the Muslim ban. And that's so terrifying that we should forgive genocide so that Khalti Halima can come through the border, because it's expensive to fly from LA to go and see Khalti Halima elsewhere. So there are two ways that we could do this. The reality is that you've heard a lot of the information already. You've all seen the images that took place in Rafah. You all saw the child with his head blown off and the father holding up for cameras. You all saw the hypocrisy that the media went wild with the fiction of beheaded babies, but did not go wild with the fact of Palestinian beheaded babies. We all saw that the pier that was built supposedly for humanitarian aid was used for a military purpose to inflict devastating massacres on the Palestinians. We saw that while the ICJ and ICC are increasingly tightening the noose around the apartheid state of Israel, we see that the Congress of the United States of America have decided instead to sanction the ICC and welcome the war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu to speak at Congress. At the same time, you've all seen that American public opinion is shifting in ways that I personally couldn't have imagined. I never thought that I would see that Donald Trump's rally, his supporters would start chanting, genocide Joe, and he would turn around and be like, then Iran. I didn't think that I would see Tucker Carlson, and I don't watch Tucker Carlson, but I didn't think that I would see Tucker Carlson on TikTok. May Allah protect and preserve TikTok and elevate it and preserve its Singaporean CEO who's from Singapore, which is far away from China. China and Singapore are very different. I know Americans, the stereotypes about geography, but that congressman that you guys have in Congress is reinforcing the stereotype. But I appreciate, I know Americans can't see geography sometimes. As a result of TikTok, it showed me that Tucker Carlson gave an interview in which he said we need to cut funding for the Israelis because it's our support, our being America, American support for the Israelis that, quote, in his words, makes Israel overreach and do things it would not otherwise be capable of, and therefore we need to lift the support so it can start living within its means. I did not think that one of the loudest voices against the attempts to redefine anti-Semitism would be Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire, who did a 20-minute episode saying that the new anti-Semitism definition means the New Testament is now illegal in the United States. I did not think that in Kamala Harris's own household, Kamala Harris would defend Zionism, but her daughter would be raising money for Palestine. I did not think that on TikTok, may Allah protect and preserve TikTok and elevate it. Say Ameen. Unless you want to be limited to New York Times and CNN and these other PR companies. There is a brother in Philadelphia. When I said this in the masjid in Philadelphia, one of the brothers stood up and he said, what, we're making dua for TikTok now in the masjid? I told him, brother, why wouldn't we make dua for TikTok, which has amplified the voice of the Palestinians? He said, TikTok is fitna. I told him, shh. He said, don't shush me. I told him, no, I'm protecting you. He said, what do you mean? You said TikTok is fitna. He said, it is. I said, shh. You're telling people that you taught your algorithm to show you fitna. My algorithm doesn't show me fitna. You're exposing yourself, brother. Shush, don't tell people it's fitna, because you're telling people that you taught it to show you haram things you shouldn't be looking at. My TikTok only shows me Zinedine Zidane roulette, Ronaldinho flick-flack, Champions League final Real Madrid, the Senegalese brother who jogs in the morning, every morning. I don't know if you follow his account. Yo bro, don't forget that Allah is with you. Inna ma'al usri yusra. You go repost. Yeah. My TikTok shows me that chiropractor got a back problem. Cairo. And then you put the volume up, headphones in for the click. Like that. And it shows me the and it shows me the parody account. There's a family, they go to this car, they put the mirror in the wrong place in the car, and then they go to the mirror, they pretend they're chiropractors, and they go to the mirror and they go, I'm a chiro. And they put the mirror back in place. That's my TikTok. So beware those when somebody tells you TikTok is fitna, tell them, Yahi, shh, don't say it out loud. I'll help you fix your algorithm. I never thought that TikTok, may Allah protect and preserve TikTok. I never thought that I would see on TikTok. That the Zionist girl from LA itself, would come out and say that I grew up in a Zionist environment, never seeing anything except Zionist arguments. And now, as a result of TikTok, I'm now seeing Palestinian voices, and I cannot unsee what I've seen. I'm dedicating my account to exposing what Israel is doing in Palestine. I checked her account 4 days ago, she's still doing it. I never thought that our da'wah would be so powerful that Megan Rice would go on TikTok, may Allah protect, preserve, and elevate her. Allahumma ameen. That she would go on TikTok and she would say, guys, I want to know how Palestinians continue to resist. I want to know where they get their resilience from. I heard it's because of the Quran, so I'm going to do 1 page of the Quran every day on my TikTok live. And then 2 weeks later, she pops up on the TikTok live wearing a hijab saying, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Wow. I never thought American public opinion would shift in such a way, and this is reported in Sahih non-Muslim, in the book of media, under the chapter of polls. I'm Reuters, I'm a Republican pollster, we're Democrat pollster, because I'm aware inferiority complex. If a Muslim says you don't believe it, I need non-Muslim sources. They said in the Reuters article that Biden is falling in the polls, and the extraordinary thing about Biden falling in the polls is that he's falling in the polls over foreign policy issues where American troops are not dying on the ground. Usually when a US president is falling in the polls over foreign policy issue, it's because our boys are dying abroad in Iraq and Afghanistan on places that we can't point to on a map. But this time, Biden is falling in the polls over an issue where American troops are not dying, meaning that they're turning on Biden not because of self-interest, not because our boys are dying, because they're not. They're turning on Biden because their hearts are flipping, because the dawah that they're seeing and the images that they're seeing are so compelling that they are promising to punish genocide, Joe, because they want to punish genocide. I never thought I'd see any of them. In light of this, the question becomes, how do you capitalize on this? And that's why in this youth conference, the reality is there are 2 ways we can approach this. Now I can either give you a bombastic speech and we all go, rah! Or you turn your chairs to the person next to you and you form groups of 5. And what we will do is, we'll do an exercise the same way that we do in the consultancy business, where we advise governments on communication strategies. You guys right now are in Los Angeles, you're in LA. Let me tell you the challenge that is before us. If there is a ceasefire tomorrow, there is a lady in Atlanta, she stood up and she shouted at me after I gave a talk in Atlanta. So I gave the talk, and alhamdulillah, everybody said, Yallah, we will move. And she shouted, she said, Sami! And I went, what? And she said, you're here at the wrong time. I said, I don't understand why you're shouting at me for. She said, this ummah will forget the moment there's a ceasefire. This ummah will forget the genocide the moment there's a ceasefire, and people will pop up before November telling us to think with hikmah that there is hikmah in forgiving genocide. You're not supposed to be here now, you're supposed to be here later on, closer to the election. I said, it's not me who's supposed to be here, it's you who are supposed to raise your voices and keep talking about the genocide and ensure that the Palestinians get justice. The question is, how do we do this? The question is, how do we keep that momentum alive? How do we keep these people talking? How do we keep Palestine on the agenda? If it has been proven that American public opinion can shift in such a way in the space of 8 months because of the message that you are propagating, because of your advocacy for Palestine, it therefore suggests that Allah has told the truth in the Quran when He says, "Idfa' billati hiya ahsan," push back with that which is best, for the one who is your enemy today, tomorrow can become your warmest ally. That da'wah can flip the hearts from one to the other. For those of you who are fasting at 8 o'clock, you have the full permission to get up, humiliate me, and walk straight out the door. For those of you not fasting, I'm very keen to see where LA stands right now. So we're going to do an exercise that I did in Cincinnati, an exercise that I did in New York, an exercise that I did in Panama City. And in those 3 cities, they were impressive, but I'm hoping LA will be more impressive. So, I will not ask you a favor, I will just give you an ultimatum. We can end the speech here, or you can engage me in this activity. You see these chairs, they're not tied to each other. I need the chairs to now form circles around people that are around you. I don't care how many groups that there are, but you're going to go into each circle and we're all going to embark on a communication strategy meeting. You're each going to be given an assignment and a task in which one group will be asked, how should we approach the non-Muslim? What arguments should we be presenting to them? Another group will be tasked, how do we talk to our African American Christian brothers and sisters? Another will be asked, how do we talk to our Hispanic brothers and sisters? Another will be asked, how do we talk to the non-Muslims? Another will be asked, what strategies to talk to the Muslims who want to forgive genocide, the ones who keep telling Biden, don't worry, if you show enough empathy, you can win back enough Muslim votes to win in November against Donald Trump, because Muslim ban is more scary than genocide. So, I give you 2 minutes, turn your chairs around, make those circles, form those tables. Trust me, you'll enjoy this. Let's go. Make those circles, say salam to each other. It can be, if your groups are smaller, you will be able to talk more. If they're bigger, you will struggle a bit more. Bismillah. Let's get ready to rumble.
Sammy, you are buck wild. Buck wild.
Don't stay too close to each other so you don't only hear the ideas. Say salam to each other, say salam to your ummah. Say salam to your brothers and sisters in arms. We are about to embark. Once you've made your circles, push the extra seats away. I apologize to the organizers. I think they expected a speech. But if you want to see a speech, you should come yesterday to this time for the whole.
How do we approach this with non-Muslims?
That's a big group for that moderator, inshallah. Best moderated
When approaching it from non-Muslim people, they have
Is everybody satisfied with their groups?
they have to feel that
Is everybody happy? Put your hands up if you're happy with your groups. Very good. Bismillah, mashallah. Now, shake each other's hands, say each other niceties, and then look at each other with serious faces. Ibadallah, now let me talk to you seriously. My job is a risk consultant. I advise governments, NGOs, and corporate clients. My job, to put it simply, is to be asked political questions and answer how they might affect political operations. But I spent a good 4 years working with governments on communication strategies. What you're about to do is exactly what they do in the presidential palaces. What you're about to do is exactly what they do in the White House. What you're about to do is exactly what they do in the elites. You will sit in the group and I will pose one question, and you will have 10 minutes to embark on what arguments you would propose to convey the message after a ceasefire to keep that hope alive. The first question: what about Trump? We should forgive genocide because the other side is worse. Debate between yourselves. You have 10 minutes. Appoint a spokesperson who will stand up and present the argument. They will only have 2 minutes. Only 2 minutes to deliver the argument, because TikTok, may Allah protect and preserve it, does well. The people will not watch your video longer than 2 minutes. You have 10 minutes to debate between yourselves. 3, 2, 1, go! This is not a joke, this is about November. These are serious questions.
So what's the question again?
The question is like,
Somebody says to you, Trump or Biden, the other side is worse. How do we approach this?
how do we approach this thing? Is Trump better than Biden?
راح لله.
Huh?
Both of them was
Is the lesser of the two?
you know,
Well, as he said yesterday, you cannot, the least, genocide is a red line for me. The other guy, he's too much troll. Trump sometimes too much troll, but he doesn't. He's too much troll.
And he's the one who made Jerusalem the capital of Israel. So, like, how do you weigh that? I mean, he did that before Biden. And if Biden wasn't in the picture, what would he do? That's what we have to, we can't just be emotional and be like, oh, Biden is genocide. He's genocide too. They're all genocide.
You have to look at the long-term picture, because short-term, if you only have two candidates in the short term, you have to look at the long-term picture. long-term vision, because you can't just say short-term, we don't have a choice because we're not prepared. But we can prepare for the next 4 years, because this is, we don't have a choice. We're just limited with our options.
I mean, Trump put a ban on Muslim travel.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not forget.
Take that every
Let's not
time.
forget.
I'll take that every time over genocide.
Huh?
I'll take that any time over genocide. I'll take a ban on Muslims.
Yeah, I get that. But I'm saying, has he not participated in the genocide? Because his support of Israel is what creates the genocide. Let's not be. I'm saying let's. Trump